The Sikha we're learning this week, Shabbos Parshas Vayakhel Tavshin Nun Beis, which could be found in Sefer HaSichos Tavshin Nun Beis, Chelik Beis, page 440, is actually the very, very last Sikha that we heard from the Rebbe so far, until the time that Be'ezras Hashem will hear Torah Chadasha with the coming of Mashiach now. In Tavshin Nun Beis, on the Monday after Shabbos Vayakhel, was Chav Zayin Adar, the day that the Rebbe suffered the stroke, from which point on we did not hear, we were not zoicha to hear any new sichos as of yet. Now just a little bit clarification regarding this particular Farbrengen and the way it was edited by the Rebbe. Usually the edited sichos, the mugadika sichos by the Rebbe, were edited a little bit later in the week, and therefore we wouldn't have a full mugadika edited sicha of the Rebbe from that Shabbos of Parshas Vayakhel. But very interestingly, we do have something that was edited from the Rebbe for that particular Shabbos. What happened is that generally in those years, besides the full edited Farbrengen that would come out later in the week, there would also be a short synopsis of the Farbrengen, a short kitzur of the Farbrengen that would be printed. It would usually be given into the Rebbe, as far as I understand. But usually the Rebbe did not edit or check over or give out for printing that very shortened version of the Farbrengen. That was given out so that people could have all over the world a kitzur dik, brief outline of the Farbrengen. But that week, Vayakhel Tavshin Nun Beis, after that Farbrengen had gone in its shortened version, just the outline of the Farbrengen, to the Rebbe actually did look it over, made a few corrections, and had given it out. So in that way, even though we don't have a full Farbrengen, Muga, edited by the Rebbe as we have for the rest of the Sichos of the Tavshin Nun Beis in the previous years, when the Rebbe was editing Sichos, this last Farbrengen we still do have in some form edited by the Rebbe. And that's what we're going to be learning today. It's pretty short, because as I said, it's just a shortened version of the general outline of the Farbrengen. Keeping in mind also that that year was a leap year, Shana Muluberes, so Vayakhel Pekudei was separate, and Shabbos Parshas Vayakhel is Shabbos Mevorchim of Adar Sheni and Chof Hei Adar Aleph. And the Rebbe starts the Farbrengen by saying, in the Kviyas of a number of years, Vayakhel Pekudei are connected, are attached. But this year, the year that the Rebbe is saying the Sikh and Tavshin Nun Beis, Parshas Vayakhel and Pekudei are separate. So to explain this in Avodas HaAdam, in a person's service to the Eibishter. Of course, the general avodah of a person, as the Chazal tell us, is Ani Nivreisi L'Shamash Es Koini. I am created to serve my master, to serve my maker, to serve the Eibishter, and to achieve and to effect that all matters of the world are also serving the Eibishter. But in this itself, there can be two different ways. And they are hinted in the names of the Parshas of Vayakhel and Pekudei. So the Rebbe explains. First we have Vayakhel. Vayakhel, of course, means to gather. That would mean that we are revealing in all matters of the world the general avodah, what they all have in common. Higher than details, how all things in the world are here for one purpose, and that is to serve the Eibishter. Through this avodah, we bring about an achdus, a unity in all matters of the world. Because we are revealing the common theme, the common denominator, how everything is there to serve the Eibishter, and especially in regards to Bnei Yisrael, that we are revealing how all Yidden are here for the one purpose, and this is the idea of Avas and Achdus Yisrael. We are revealing the unity, the oneness, the commonality that we have amongst each other. Then we have the idea of Pekudei. After we have the general avodah of Vayakhel, which means to unite everything and to find the common theme in everything, we now come to Pekudei. What does Pekudei mean? Pekudei means to count. In Parshas Pekudei, the various different things of the Mishkan are being enumerated and counted. That means here we are looking at each and every detail, how each thing is unique in its service to the Eibishter. So the Rebbe says the Chiddush, when we have the Vayakhel and Pekudei, each one in a separate week for itself, that emphasizes that we first have the Vayakhel in its completest form. That means we first have that avodah properly and fully, being Megala, revealing the Achdus, the general Achdus, the unity in creation and in Bnei Yisrael, and therefore we don't even have to wait for the avodah of Pekudei until we could look inside and reach and reveal the details of each and every one of the aspects of the world through the avodah of Pekudei. So Vayakhel, and especially Vayakhel on its own, is emphasizing that we cause the general Achdus in all of creation immediately right in Parshas Vayakhel, revealing how everything as one is serving the Eibishter. The Rebbe says this idea of Achdus we could also connect to Parshas Shkolim, which again in that year, being that it was a leap year, so Parshas Vayakhel is Parshas Shkolim. So regarding Parshas Shkolim, it's no the question. The way the Torah describes the Machatzis HaShekel is by saying that a shekel is made up of 20 geira, esrim geira HaShekel, and we have to give a half a shekel as a donation for Hashem. So the question is, why is the pasuk emphasizing that we give a half of a shekel, half of 20 geira? Why don't we just say simply that you're meant to give 10 geira? The explanation is because the idea of Machatzis HaShekel indicates and shows on this avodah of Achdus Yisrael. And this is what we're emphasizing, that when a Yid is by himself, he's only a half. In order to be a shekel HaKodesh, a holy shekel, one needs to unite with a second Yid. And so to unite with each and every one of the Yidden, and in that way we become complete. And that is, of course, the mitzvah, and fulfilling the mitzvah, v'yahavta l'reacha kamoicha. The word reyacha, what does reyacha, your fellow, mean over here? We're not only speaking about a Yid that's close to you, we're speaking even about a Yid that's on the other side of the world. And the reason is, what causes this achdus? How can we be united with each and every Yid? As the Alter Rebbe tells us in Tanya, that every single Yid is a chelik elikami ma'al mamish, is truly a part of Hashem. And when we say he's a part of Hashem, we know a rule that ha'etzem, the essence, if you take part of the essence, you have the whole essence. So in other words, each and every Yid is completely one with Hashem, and all Yidden are one. We are all one with Hashem. And therefore, even in a certain case, where sometimes we need to negate by our fellow something that might be negative, so he may be doing something wrong, but the most appropriate way and the most effective way of achieving this is through working with him b'darkei noyam or b'darkei shalom in pleasant and peaceful ways. The Rebbe explains, in order to be able to achieve this sort of achdus, this vayakhel, in the world and amongst Bnei Yisrael, the way to start that is first a vayakhel, a unity between the Yid and Hashem. And the Rebbe says this is another one of the explanations in the words esrim geira hashekel, machatzis hashekel truma Hashem, that we're speaking about 20 geira and that we have to give half, because what we're saying is that each and every Yid is united with Hashem in a way of chad mamish, that we're mamish one, and therefore it's as if to say that every Yid is a half, and the Eibishter Vayakhel is the other half. And therefore, Hashem, as Hashem comes through the 10 spherois, so that's one set of Eser Geira, of 10 Geira, the 10 spherois from above, Hashem's 10 spherois, and then each and every Yid, which also has the 10 koiches, the 10 faculties of his soul, is also the 10, so that's the other half. And Davka, when we unite these two halves, the Eibishter's 10 spheres and our 10 koiches, that's the way it becomes Esrim Geira, the full, complete holy shekel. And to explain this, the Rebbe says, the first thing a Yid does in the morning, right when he wakes up, he says Moidani. That already he's showing immediately on his unity, on his connection, uniting with the Eibishter completely. And this is a very general avodah, even before you get into the specific details of the avodas of the day. Similar to what we said before, there's the Vayakhel before going to the Pekudei, before the details. And this is also why we say Moide ani lefanecha. What are we saying? before speaking about Anila Fonecha, that I am with Hashem, the first thing we say is Moide. The first thing is we are submitting ourselves, because the Rebbe explains, the idea that Anila Fonecha, that the Yid is one with the Eibishter, that's an obvious thing, that's a given. We don't even have to emphasize it so much. And that's why the first thing we're starting off is with our avodah. What are we doing about it? Moida. We are submitting ourselves and admitting and thanking Hashem, etc. The Rebbe explains regarding the expression that we say of Moida Ani, that miyad kishaneir mishnosoi, that as soon as one wakes up from his sleep, he needs to say Moida Ani. The Rebbe says waking up from sleep doesn't only mean physical sleep, but it also includes, as the Rambam says, that there's a concept of yesheinim bahavle hazman. Sometimes people are asleep spiritually, in other words, because of all the nonsense going on in the world. So one needs to wake up also from this sleep. And the beginning of the avodah and all of this is to know that we are one with Hashem, with Atzmus Amuhus, with the very essence of Hashem, because each and every Yid is a Chelik Elikam Imal Mamash. Says the Rebbe, all of this is especially emphasized when we could see in the recent years how we also have the idea of Vayakhel, the gathering, in the simple sense of the word, Kibbutz Golius of Bnei Yisrael from the whole world, Yidden, the gathering of exiles, Yidden gathering from other parts of the world and starting to go up to Eretz HaKodesh. And this ascent to Eretz HaKodesh is completely incomparable to the way it was in previous generations. Many more Yidden are able to and are going up to Eretz Yisrael. The Rebbe says, just to note that our Rabbeim, Rabbi Seinu, Nesienu, didn't actually go to Eretz HaKodesh, not even for a visit. And even when the Frierdiker Rebbe, when my father-in-law the Rebbe, when the Frierdiker Rebbe went to Eretz Yisrael, that was only because he wasn't able to go visit Kivrei Avos, the Tziyunim of Rostov and Lubavitch, etc. And that's why he went at that time to Eretz Yisrael. So the Rebbe says, and now especially that we have this Vayakhel already, that Yidden are gathering and going to Eretz Yisrael. And especially in a year of the Rosh Hashanah as Hoyet Eish Nas Neflois Bakoil Mikoil Koil, if that's the case, all of the above is so much more timely and emphasized. The Rebbe says the practical Eirah that we have from Parsha Shkolim. First of all, of course, there's the idea that we need to add in giving tzedakah. What does it mean to add in giving tzedakah? Because in tzedakah there's many levels. One could give meiser, which is 10%, choimish, which is 20%, or as it says, koil asher le'ishitin ba'ad nafshi, a person would give away everything if it's to save his life. And one needs to make achlotis already on this very Shabbos, including also by starting on Shabbos, by giving food and drink and the like, things that could be given on Shabbos. And also in the way to give, we also have a Hayirah from Parsha Shkolim. The giving of the Machatzis HaShekel was for the Karbonos Tzibur, or for the communal Karbonos. And the Alter Rebbe tells us about Karbonos on the Pasuk, Odom ki yakriv mikem Karbon LaHashem. What does this Pasuk mean? Simply, when a person will offer up a carbon to Hashem. But the Alter Rebbe explains that in order for a person, yakriv means to become close to Hashem. So mikem Karbon LaHashem, he needs to give up of himself. His whole mitzias, his whole entity he needs to give up to Hashem. And from this we understand the practical Eirah that when one gives tzedakah and gemach, gemilus chasadim, needs to be in a way that he puts himself completely into it. All of his 10 koiches hanefesh, his 10 faculties. That means in addition to the act of giving tzedakah, he's also thinking about it, speaking about it, putting himself completely into it. And through all of this, we hasten the geula, which will come take it from the yad. When the Eibishter will do his tzedakah, gathering all of the Bnei Yisrael, and as the Pasuk says, Kahol Godol, Yeshuvu Heina, all the Yidden will return to Eretz Yisrael.